All right, everyone, we got a special guest. If you listen to Friday's episode, my content recommendation was The Scheme, and it's this insane story how the FBI essentially entrapped a young sports agent into supposedly paying coaches, and it's literally the most insane story. And the reason why I'm so fascinated by it is, like, as a sports fan for the last like 15 years, I went to USC and I saw how players were used to make the school millions of dollars, and I always felt like student athletes got the raw edge of the stick. And then watching your story and you just being in basketball since your entire youth life, and then finding an opportunity, like, honestly, like, there's two stories here. There's obviously this story of like college basketball and how fucked up it is, but the more interesting story I found was like your entrepreneurial kind of passion at such a young age and how that materialized. Like, how did you even like get into this? Because if you haven't seen it, it's like pretty fascinating.
Now, got into what stage? Because I've done a lot of things so far, but got into which part of it?
Yeah, I think the part where you became like a youth basketball expert and then parlayed that into like a profession. Because like that's like, imagine like you're a video game person and then one day you end up making money playing video games. Like you figure out how to do something you love and make money off of it, which is like everybody's dream.
Right. So yeah, basically, my dad was a high school coach. We're from the high school program that we end up all playing for and coming out of is essentially like, where are you from? What city are you from?
LA.
So it's like the high school we went to is like how Crenshaw, the reputation was back in the day, or Westchester when Tony Blandon were coming up. Like it's a power program. So because of that, it was almost like I was born into it, so to speak, because that was our culture, that was our thing to do where we grew up at the high school basketball games, and it kind of just educated me. I pretty much got educated from observing, basically, just watching people, watching situations, seeing how they played out, and putting two and two together, reading. And then when my brother passed away, my plan wasn't to become some power broker or something like that. I just wanted to hold events in his honor to raise money for the American Heart Association. And then our team, we already had a travel team, so we just renamed it in his honor. And then obviously once you're doing that, you're running events, you're running teams, you want to be the best at it. So I wanted to get the top players in my area. And that just led from that ended up, once you're around talented individuals and talented people who are worth money to entities and businesses, I mean, people figured out that I could be a way to, I could be, beneficial to their businesses. And people just kind of came to me to hire me. And I was like, oh, this seems like a pretty good idea or a pretty good opportunity. And it just kind of blossomed from there. It wasn't like again, like you said, I would have done basketball no matter what. So it wasn't something where I'm like, I need to get paid. I literally remember, I don't know if he remembers this, but I remember talking to Andy Miller, who hired me, and we were negotiating, and I was like, I really don't even give a fuck how much money you pay me. And he was like, listen, never say that to anybody ever again. You will care. I was like 21 at the time. He's like, you will care one day. But at that moment, I was like, I'm working for a big agency. I've got players. Like, my life was amazing to me at that point.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead. You can go ahead.
I was just saying, the fascinating thing from the documentary is you knew all along the investigation was a joke. You're like, how are we using taxpayer dollars to investigate this? I mean, they spent hundreds of thousands, if not seven figures, and they found nothing. And they basically made you the fall guy. And I was just like, it just made me so angry that with everything that's going on in the country, that resources were used to do this, and they just took you down for no reason because they needed to show that something got done.
To add to that really quickly, I didn't understand how the film ended. Are you still pending potential jail time or?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
still appealing the case right now. So hopefully we can win the appeals and they get overturned, because I mean, this is just the bottom line. Like, the first trial is about us defrauding Louisville University, and then the second trial is about me paying coaches. There's no way I could have defrauded Louisville. Like, I don't even want to hear the first one. I mean, that's just disgusting. The second case, with us paying coaches, like, my intention, not that those guys weren't people I was close to, but me paying them really didn't make a lot of sense to me, because it's like, first of all, they're my friends, clearly, so why wouldn't they would help me anyway. Like, I said that to Manish at one point on the phone, like, doesn't he understand that book is going to help me anyway? So the second case, I really have no idea, how they could say that I was mentally going into this to bribe people. There was money that changed hands, obviously. I said that I wanted them to give me the money back or act like, what was happening was legit. But even when I showed them that in trial and I had my bank records, they said I lied. So they just said, you're lying about everything. So I don't even know what I could really do. I don't know how possible we could have meetings in Vegas that in the exact dollar gets deposited into my account. I don't know how that's possible without it being their money. But they said I was a liar. So I don't really know what will happen, honestly, to tell you the truth. It's not, trial in court isn't what you see on TV, though. Like, it's not.
I agree. To give an example, we were in a lawsuit where we felt we did absolutely no wrongdoing, and we got creamed. We lost 7 figures. We were in awe because
the judge was actually asleep at trial. Like he would doze on and off of sleep while.
Now, I will say this about our judges. The fucking the first judge, Judge Kaplan, is a genius. Like, he ain't falling asleep. Like, he's so much smarter than everybody. It's kind of scary that one person can be that intellectually advanced. The second judge, he didn't. I thought that he was fair. I mean, he wasn't rude or anything like that. It just comes down to it, man, that if you can keep evidence out of the case, it doesn't really matter what the judge feels. Like, if you think about it like this, in the first trial, they said we defrauded the school out of the scholarship, but they wouldn't even let the jury hear how much money Louisville profited in the year that the case happened, or whatever the case may be. So if you're not willing to let a jury hear those kind of stats, but you'll paint this picture that we're defrauding a university, like, it's really kind of rigged against you, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not gonna cry about it or feel bad for myself, but we didn't go into this with a fair chance to defend ourselves at all.
Yeah, and so what happens? Like, clearly everyone knows the system is broken. Do you think it's too big to fail at this point? Or do you think what you went through is going to at least open up the everyday Joe's eyes? Because obviously everyone, I mean, like, we've all known this forever. We went to college. I'm friends with very high profile athletes. I know what went down. But, like, now that everybody knows, do you think it'll change, or do you think it's just?
Are you saying the criminal justice system or the NCAA system?
The NCAA system first.
The NCAA system will only change if they're forced to change. That no one, whether you want to call them good people or bad people, is going to give up $1 billion they don't have to pay taxes on. Like, no one's that nice. So I can't necessarily say I blame the NCAA for trying to fight and hold on to it. They have a great business model. Their business model works for them. So no, I don't think that they'll like one day wake up and say this is unfair. Let's pay the athletes. No, they're not going to do that. So no, I don't think that my documentary changes anything. I think that for them, they have to continue to turn a blind eye to it, or they have to part with their money. Which one do you think they'll do?
Yeah.
And as far as the criminal justice system, I don't think the system is really failing when you really think about it. Yeah. The system was never set up to benefit people like myself or people from backgrounds like myself. So from that standpoint, the system is doing exactly what it was set up to do. You have Marty Blazer, who can steal money and literally can convince the FBI in the Southern District, the brightest of our law enforcement, of all law enforcement in America, the Southern District is the best.
Yeah.
He convinced them to let him basically become a agent. I mean, if you really think about it, he had the authority to build cases. That would never happen for me. I couldn't steal $3 million and say to the police, "Hey guys, don't arrest me. Don't tell anyone I did this. Let me just go out here and find some people that's giving money to players and athletes." I couldn't do that. That wouldn't happen. So no, I don't think the criminal justice system is really failing. The people who made it and the people who orchestrated everything weren't making it with my people in mind. So it's working out perfectly if you really look at it that way.
You know, it's pretty interesting. You're a pretty level-headed person. Are you like? I'm pretty emotional with my business. Are you angry? Are you frustrated? Or you're just beyond that at this point, and you're just like, I understand what's going on, and I gotta just play this game.
Yeah, part of it is I understand the game now, and also too, what my business didn't really make a lot of sense if you really think about it to begin with. So a lot of what I'm doing business-wise now it's a blessing in disguise that the case happened to me, because it kind of educated me on real business. When I got arrested, I didn't know anything about.
How old were you when you got arrested?
24. But like I knew about like representing talent, but I didn't know anything about a business. I wasn't running a business. I wasn't understanding margins and assets and profit. I wasn't doing any of that shit. So when I really looked at the business after we got arrested, it really doesn't make a lot of sense for anybody just to manage talent. That's a shit business if you really think about it. So I can't really get mad at them for stopping what would have been a waste of my talents and gifts. I can't really be mad at them for that. They're stupid for charging people. That was stupid. But again, like I said in a public post, I don't want anyone to think that I believe that the FBI in the Southern District and people like that are not needed, or they're like all evil. That ain't the case. I've been around those guys. Listen, they're doing their job. Just how I have a job or you have a job, their job just wasn't in my benefit. But it wasn't like they woke up. At least I don't believe that they're waking up and not. Listen, these prosecutors think that players should be paid. They're not stupid.
Yeah.
They're just charging a case and they're doing a job, but they answer to people too. But don't think for 1 second that they're in after the court ends or when they go home that they think what they're doing is the right thing. There's no way they can call themselves smart and think that they're doing the right thing. So for me, it's not that I'm not emotional. I am emotional. It's just, what can I really do? I don't control this dynamic or the situation. You know what I mean? So I just got to make the best of it and just get better from it.
And that's the biggest flaw in the system, right? The NCAA has no incentive to break this up. And
Correct.
FBI and prosecutors have to pretend like they're doing something to solve the problem that the whole public knows, because it's technically still illegal, even though it shouldn't be.
No, it's not illegal. Don't get it confused. There's no law that says you can't pay players.
Right.
They made it illegal. If the NCAA does not exist, they can't turn this into a criminal case. This case does not happen without those rules. If I was to pay Brian Bone and he goes to the NBA, this case can't be charged. That was my point the whole time. You can't segregate crime where you can say it's not illegal if this guy's doing this and the players are going professional, but it's illegal if they're amateur, if they're going to comp. That doesn't make sense. I can't kill you and get away with it because you're in college. And if I kill someone else, I get charged because they're in another phase of their life. That doesn't make common sense. So this isn't a crime. The action isn't a crime. That's the reason why they're fraud charges or bribery charges. They tried to, not tried. Their argument is the universities are receiving federal funds, and those funds are being allocated to individuals who are professionals as opposed to amateurs. That's the crime. The issue with that theory is the people who give the scholarships out wanted this to happen. So if the highest paid person at the school wants it to happen, in the public figure, and the person that's in charge of these scholarships, why would I, who's not involved with the university, think that I'm defrauding you? That doesn't make sense. So that's their criminal theory. Their theory with the bribery case was the coaches are public officials, and because they're receiving funds that violate NCAA rules, they're putting their school at risk. The funny thing about that case is the jury basically voted and acquitted us on all charges that the universities were defrauded. So it's tricky, man. Like, the whole thing doesn't make a lot of sense, which is why I hope the appeal process straightens everything out and we, can get acquitted completely.
And so how do you move forward with your life? Like, I saw that you're going into music and you're going to the entertainment business. Like, do you feel that given what's happened and let's say you get acquitted, that you're going to be given a fair shot in the business world? Because I mean, it's crazy. I watched the documentary in the beginning. My wife and I were watching it and we're like, we're leaving for judgment if we like you or not, right? And just being honest. And then by the end, I was so angry and felt that you got treated so incorrectly. And that's when I went on like the hunt to find you, because I was like, it's, as someone that came from nothing and built my business, it's so unfair, this how society works. And I just hope for your sake, you're not judged by some previous action because the way people treat the laws or manipulate the laws aren't in your favor. And so how do you like wrap your head around like moving forward?
I mean, I think for me, man, I don't know if this is because I'm a psychopath or what, but I really don't spend a lot of time worrying about if someone is going to like me or if they'll accept me. I don't really care about that as much. I think when this is the bottom line, man, when everything happened to me, I found an artist. I know I'm good at management. No matter what anyone says, I know I'm good at that. So I found an artist, and it was a bidding war for him, and it ended up becoming a situation where we ended up getting a joint venture label deal. My partner, Alex Rifkin, and I. So it became a dynamic where, sure, I had all the case and everything lingering over my head, but we did good business and we were rewarded for it. And the same with everything that I'm doing now in TV and film. Like the first project that I'm involved with, The Scheme, obviously is about me, so I can talk about myself. But listen, regardless if you're involved or not involved, it's a good 2-hour documentary. So everything to me in business will be based off of what's the last thing that you did. So as long as everything that I'm involved with is fine and above board and its quality, that's all I can really worry about. I feel like if you put out quality into the world, some way, somehow, it'll reward you. So I don't really focus on my past or what someone will say about it. I just try to focus on the future and what I'm able to control and what everyone who's working with me is able to control. And if we handle that and we maximize that, we'll be fine. That's how I think. Maybe I'm naive, but yeah. I got to bet on myself and the people who are with me and trying to figure everything out.
And, let's assume the acquittal happens and the case is cleared. Do you have any interest in working in basketball again, or you've moved on to entertainment?
I will have, regardless if we get acquitted or not, I'll have a presence in the sports space. I won't be like day-to-day recruiting and all the other stuff that I was doing. But I'll have some opportunities in the sports. It's really just figuring out which one I'll deal with. Because anyone who in sports knows what it is. This isn't like, that's the easiest industry for them to understand. They know everybody in that business understands what happened. So whether I'm acquitted or not, I'll involve our companies in sports in some capacity, whatever makes the most sense.
Amazing, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. I hope your sports capacity is sitting courtside at Laker games and just rubbing it.
Are you a Lakers fan?
Yeah, of course. Born and raised.
So when the season resumes, if the Clippers win, I'm a LeBron James stan, not even a fan.
You saw my wall here. It's all LeBron.
LeBron. I've had LeBron on my wall since I was 13. Like my girl still gets mad at me. Like, you're a grown man. But I do think I want the Clippers to win. I feel jaded and weird about it because I like Patrick Beverley and Lou Will and Kawhi. I love them too.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be great for the city either way. We need that win because morale is low out here right now. So, we'll take whatever we can get. But
100%.
Yeah, and I look forward to hanging out with you in person when this is all over too.
Yeah, for sure. Let's definitely connect. I definitely appreciate you guys having me for sure.
Thanks for coming on, man.
No problem, boss.